My name is Amanda Esco, and I am the Director of the Religious Education Program here at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City. Thank you for joining us. Let's light our chalice together. If you have one at home, go grab it and we'll light it. Symbol of light, symbol of knowledge, symbol of warmth, symbol of freedom. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. Here we gather to celebrate hope and the infinite possibilities of love. Now, you may have heard in the not-so-quiet grapevine that we are looking for families of all ages and sizes to light our chalice for our main worship service. We're looking for ways to keep our community connected to one another, and one of them is by seeing us all light our chalices wherever we may be. So, if you'd like to participate in this project, I really hope you do. Get in touch with me or Reverend Monica, and we can help you with this. For now, let's put this chalice back in our sanctuary, and let's start by taking 2 grounding breaths. Stand on up, plant those tootsies into the ground, and we're gonna breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. Are you ready? Let's breathe in and out. One more time. Let's breathe in through our nose, out through our mouth. Thank you for breathing with me. Breathing is really important to helping regulate our nervous system. It's an important tool that we have in our mindfulness toolbox, so I'm glad you shared this with me. Today in our Reimagining Chapel, we are talking about expectations. Lissa is going to be sharing our UU of the week, and then we'll have a Wonder Box story. I wonder what's inside. Each week we always have something fun and new, so I can't wait to see what's in here. Let's start though, after our breath, lighting our chalice, by sharing our joys and concerns. Joys and concerns is a tradition here at First Unitarian Church in our Reimagining Chapel. We share what's going well, we share what's not, and it's important. And it's important even when we're physically distant from each other, to share what's happening in our hearts. So I will go first. This week, I am excited. We have been doing a lot of work with worship, and we were able to show everyone a new intro trailer for our main worship service that I worked on with the rest of the worship team. I'm pretty proud of it, so you should watch our main worship and check it out. What's going well for you? What do you need help with? Talk to the people around you that love you, and I'll be right here waiting for you. Thank you for sharing your joys and concerns with the people that love you the most. It's really important. Now, something that is rather timely, but this week is the anniversary of the 19th Amendment. Do you know what the 19th Amendment to our Constitution is? It is the amendment that gave women in our country the right to vote. Lissa has the story of an important Unitarian Universalist who helped with that fight. Thank you, Lissa.
The Religious Education Assistant at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City, and this is the UU of the Week. Last week, America marked the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment being ratified. After decades of fighting, the 19th Amendment finally gave women the right to vote in America in the year 1920. There are a multitude of Unitarian women who were also suffragists, so it's incredibly hard to pick just one. I tried. To clarify, the women who fought for suffrage, or the right to vote, called themselves suffragists. The familiar term suffragette was actually used by their critics to minimize or make fun of their efforts. These are women who collectively organized and protested for 72 years, beginning with the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848. They were publicly shamed and sometimes physically attacked. They were sent to jail for protesting or for trying to vote. These women deserve the utmost respect, and I think the best way to show it is to vote. Never miss an opportunity once it's your turn. But back to our story. Famous UU women like Susan B. Anthony, Lucy Stone, Harriet Stanton Blatch all did their part to win the right to vote for women. But today I'm going to talk about Carrie Catt. She became involved in the second wave of the suffrage movement starting in about 1880 and was instrumental in helping the constitutional amendment pass and later get ratified or approved by the states in 1920. She was born Carrie Clinton Lane in Iowa in 1859. And you guys, we have a new winner for the UU of the Week with the most names, with Carrie Clinton Lane Chapman Catt coming in at 5 names. Her first husband, Leo Chapman, had traveled to California to find a place for them both to live, but he died of typhoid before she could join him. She did live in California for a short time after that and put her hard-won college degree to work by becoming San Francisco's first female newspaper reporter. Catt's father did not think she needed to go to college. Boo! So she washed dishes and was a school teacher over the summer to pay her own tuition. She was the only woman in her graduating class and went on to become the superintendent of schools in Iowa. She was very successful. Carrie later married a wealthy engineer named George Catt, who encouraged her to get involved in the suffrage movement. Her privilege allowed her to work tirelessly. She was Susan B. Anthony's hand-picked predecessor as president of the National American Women's Suffrage Association. Catt traveled the country and the world speaking and raising support for suffrage. Carrie Catt even spoke in Utah. Women in most of the western states already had the right to vote, and in fact, women's suffrage was written into Utah's state constitution from the very beginning. Catt tried to rally women in the free states, as they were called, to extend the right to vote to all women, including African American women. Catt was criticized for allowing Black membership in the National American Women's Suffrage Association, but she said that we were all in this together. Another leader in the movement was Alice Paul. She was fiery, staging pickets and parades and hunger strikes from prison. Alice Paul attacked then-President Woodrow Wilson, while Carrie Catt tried to win Wilson's favor. Catt argued that women were patriots, especially once America entered World War I. She said that women were keeping the country running while the men were away at war, and for that, they deserved to be given the vote. Early suffragists had made this argument before, though, during the Civil War. They were promised the vote if they turned their efforts from suffrage to abolition, and they did so. But then when Black men were given the right to vote after the Civil War, women were told that the country could only handle so much change at once. And this caused anger and unfortunately racism, which plagued the suffrage movement up until its end. So Alice Paul did not trust the system that had betrayed women time and time again with one failed referendum in the states after another, while Carrie Catt worked within the political system. She devised what she called the winning plan. Carrie Catt believed that a federal amendment was the best chance women had. After years of effort, Catt finally won the support of President Woodrow Wilson, squeezing out approval of the amendment in the Senate and the House by only a few votes. Then the amendment needed to be approved or ratified by a majority of 36 states. And Carrie Catt's years of forming agreements with the states finally paid off. The 19th Amendment was approved on August 26, 1920. Just 6 months before that happened, Carrie Catt founded the League of Women Voters, which to this day still works to expand voting rights and fights voter suppression. Now, Carrie Catt's political achievements were so many and varied that it was hard to find much information about her faith, but she was a Unitarian. Her friends and mentors were Unitarians. Women in History Ohio noted that fellow Unitarian Charles Darwin's Origin of the Species was very influential to her. They said she was, quote, already skeptical of traditional religion, yet retaining faith in human potential. Carrie embraced this philosophy, seeing evolutionary science as offering the idea of a constantly evolving and improving world, moving toward a free and peaceful society. With her life being focused on equality and justice, from suffrage to her campaigning for providing aid to Jewish people in Germany during World War II, it is easy to see the influence of Unitarian ideals in her work. She even did the work of dismantling racism in herself, publicly stating that her ideas about race from her youth were wrong. Carrie Chapman Catt died in 1947 and was buried alongside her companion of 20 years, Mary Garrett Hay. Her friend, an African-American suffragist, Mary Church Terrell, wrote that the world has lost a great, good, and gifted woman who for many years pleaded with it to deal justly with all human beings without regard to sex, race, or religion. Thank you for learning about our UU of the Week, Carrie Chapman Catt.
Hi, welcome back. Let's see what's inside our Wonder Box today. Let's open it up. Hey, I just opened it up and look, there's nothing in here. There's nothing inside our Wonder Box. Every time I open the Wonder Box, something is inside. This is not what I expected. A lot of times we know or have some kind of expectation about something that's going to happen. Like when I opened up the Wonder Box, I expected an item to be in there. My previous experience had taught me what to expect. When it's my birthday, I expect special dessert. When I meet someone new, I expect to say hello. When we start an art project, we expect it to look a certain way. These are all expectations we have. I have a friend named Tim Atkins, who's the DRE at the First Unitarian Church of Oklahoma City. He tells this story about how he approaches pottery, a new hobby that he's practicing. Over the past couple years, what started off as a hobby has turned into a true spiritual practice, wheel-thrown pottery. I would love to tell you that I picked it up immediately and that I've become an expert potter with showcases and gallery openings. And okay, I can't stop laughing at that picture. In fact, I've had some pretty epic failures with my pottery. Almost everything comes off a little bit off center, and often my attempts on the wheel end up with a disaster of some sort. Just last month, when I was trimming a bowl, it flew off my wheel, smashed into another wheel, and the formerly not too bad bowl turned into something that resembled a pancake. I laughed it off. When I was learning to make bowls, clay ended up coating everything. My arms, my cheeks, my hair, everywhere really. None of the bowls came out looking like bowls, and I left with a huge smile on my face, despite failure after failure. Because what have I learned? Far and away, the most important lesson pottery has taught me is not to be attached to the final product. There are a lot of places in the process of making wheel-thrown pottery where something different than what you expected can happen. You never know how the final product will look until after glazing and it comes out of the kiln. Every time I've put a piece into the kiln with a certain expectation of how it'll come out, I've been disappointed. When I don't much care in the end about how it'll look, I end up pleasantly surprised. I can't be attached to those final outcomes. The process matters more than the product. Tim went into pottery expecting to make these beautiful creations. What he ended up doing was making something more in the middle. Sometimes we set out to start something new, whether it be an art project or the beginning of a school year. We go into these experiences with our own expectations. However, we are not always in control of what happens in the middle. We are not in control of the weather during our soccer game. We are not in control of a global pandemic. Sometimes our expectations have to change because of the things we are not in control of. The only thing we can control, our own attitude. We can choose to go into things a little bit more like Tim does with pottery. Having a rough idea, trying our best, and then being okay with whatever happens. We can only control so much, but we can keep trying our best, even when things are hard or not what's expected. As we said in the spring, we can choose joy in the unexpected. This doesn't mean it's not hard, but it does mean we still can choose how we react. As we start this new school and church year, let's be choosing to find joy in the unexpected. I know that things are going to come up that we weren't planning, but I know that with the right attitude and support structure, we're all going to be okay. Thank you for joining us today. To find out more about the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City, please visit us at slcuu.org. But until next time, let's heart out.